Good evening, and welcome to our presentation of the 22-23 Pleasantville School District Goals. I wanted to begin by providing a brief overview of where the goals came from. If you read this slide from the top down, it starts with our beliefs, moves to our mission, and then our objectives. These three are broad and remain unchanged for a very long time here in the history of Pleasantville. They are foundational to the construction of the past and current strategic plan. The strategic plan articulates 6 strategies that you can see there in small s's, and I'm going to walk us through this slide in a little bit more in depth. So it begins with the beliefs. And just as a little reminder, there they are up on the screen. And as you can see, values such as respect, responsibility, curiosity, passion, self-awareness, choice, individuality, advocacy, integrity, and family all emerge in our articulated beliefs. Also, our mission outlines what we want for our students. We want our students to be lifelong learners, dynamic thinkers, and compassionate contributing citizens. The mission also articulates how we want to achieve that by creating a learning community that focuses on academic programs, the environment of respect and collaboration, the exploration of individual passions and celebration of accomplishments, and leadership and service. In addition to the beliefs and the mission, we have four objectives that talk about the course of study, again, individual passions, character, and pursuing a life of wholeness, purpose, and balance. It is definitely a quick draw here, sorry about that. As I mentioned, the beliefs, mission, and objectives were foundational to building a 5-year strategic plan. There are 6 strategies in our strategic plan, and these strategies are bold resolutions that dedicate the organization's resources and energies towards the continuous creation of systems to achieve the extraordinary as expressed in the mission and objectives. And I got that right off our website from the people that wrote our strategic plan. So of our 6 strategic plans, of our 6 strategies, in our strategic plan, the first is leadership, which talks about hiring, developing, and retaining employees and what we're looking for in that process. The second is curriculum, and we're asking that our curriculum, and I want you to remember this because we have 2 wonderful principals that are going to come up and talk about their goals later that relate to this. They're all wonderful principals, but there are 2 that are going to talk about this. A curriculum that promotes differentiated instruction and allows our students to be future ready. The third strategy is wellness, and we talk about having an emotional, social, and physical wellness for our students. We also have a strategy on communication, which calls for us to engage home, school, and the community in 2-way communication. We talk about our infrastructure and resources being maximized so that we can provide a safe, collaborative, and flexible environment. And lastly, we have the strategy of partnerships, which calls us to develop new and strengthen current partnerships. So when we look at this slide, we look at our belief, mission, and objectives as foundational to our district. The strategies indicate where we want to dedicate energy and resources over a 5-year period to achieve the beliefs, mission, and objectives. We need to identify annual goals to actualize the strategies and bring them into focus for us in terms of where we want to dedicate our time and energy for this school year. Thank you, sorry. This is not a trick. I'm not trying to trick you. Thank you so much. Take this away. And don't let me use it again. Thank you very much. Okay, I promise I won't be such a happy. It wasn't me. It was the machine. So in creating our annual goals, we borrowed the research from McChesney, Covey, and Huling on wildly important goals. The big idea is that you still have all your everyday work that you need to do, but you can have one singular focus. And the term that they use is a wildly important goal. So let's look at a wildly important goal as a place where you can focus your finest effort on the one thing that will make the biggest difference. So in thinking about that, if everything else in every other aspect of our team's performance remained at its current level, what is the one area where significant improvement would have the greatest impact? So our path forward is to focus on one leverageable area in each building or department. This is the work and this is how we developed our goals by the administrative teams in collaboration with their leadership teams in their buildings and or departments. So I'll begin by talking with you and introducing the district goal. So the district goal and our area of focus is on safety this year. And any time you think about safety, you think about it basically in three parts: the before, the during, and the after. So you think about everything that you can do to prevent incidents, that when you do have an incident, that you're doing everything appropriately to respond to the incident, and that you can recover quickly from any incident that has happened in the schools. So our goal this year as a district, and my goal, is to try to position the district to be able to prevent, respond, and recover to incidents and matters of safety. This goal hits on our infrastructure and resources strategies. It hits on communication, partnerships, leadership, and wellness. So it definitely crosses a lot of the strategies in this one goal area. So I just wanted to talk a little bit about why this goal was chosen as the district goal and my area of focus. Is because when I came into the district as superintendent in January, we were in the middle of the pandemic. And so in response to the pandemic, we had to make a lot of changes to how we operated our schools and our departments in response to the pandemic. This goal gives us the opportunity to focus on safety with a different mindset other than COVID and responding to the pandemic, and allows us to relook at the protocols that we put in place, some of which we went and changed again because we don't have the same restrictions that we had when there was COVID. So our reason for looking at safety is really in response to the changing needs and how we operate our school buildings and our departments. So I just want to highlight a few of the major accomplishments from the first quarter. So as you know, the school year starts July 1 for us. July, August, and September is the first quarter of the school year. So in this first quarter, as it relates to safety, the district contracted with Altaris, which is a very popular school-specific safety consultant. Many of our neighboring districts, not just in Westchester, but in other counties nearby, use Altaris. And one of the first things that Altaris comes in and that they do is that they do a complete safety risk assessment. So they basically come in, they're on site in our district, looking at our operations, looking at our protocols, and coming up with a set of things that we can work on as a district. This is a confidential risk assessment. Every time I talk about safety, I will also speak about confidentiality, because there is always a degree of reservation and things that we need to keep confidential as they relate to safety that we would not want to put out in the public. So the second thing that we did was we joined the Regional Crisis Response Team. So other BOCES do have operating crisis response teams. I've been in several situations where I have needed a crisis response team. So the fact that Southern Westchester was building one, I asked if Mr. Palumbo and I could join and participate in the Southern Westchester BOCES Regional Crisis Response Team. Already we have an approved district-wide safety plan, as well as the 3 building emergency response plans. So I also have on here the entrance technology was explored. So I want to talk a little bit about where we're going to be with that in the next quarter, because we did engage in exploration in the first quarter. And the second quarter, we're hoping to actually acquire materials, everything that we need, and install in the second quarter of the school year. That will lead to a revision in our visitor safety protocols based on what we're going to be able to do to the entrances of the 3 school buildings, district office, and the special education office. We're also working with our faculty and staff on different protocols as they relate to ID badges and how we identify visitors versus employees in the school district. Part of what will happen also in the second quarter is that we anticipate by then we will have our risk assessment, and there may be tangible items that we can work on during that time. Also during that time, I'm hoping that we can start a safety task force that I've spoken about at the end of last school year with several families based on the response to the Uvalde, Texas shooting. So one of the things that the safety task force that we have to first of all establish would that they would be able to look at initiatives and high-level items that we're considering for the district with an entire community collaboration with us in the district in terms of where do we want to prioritize things. So obviously that's a little bit tentative at this time because we need to get back the risk assessment report and see where some of our needs might be. So that is what we have planned for the second quarter, and you'll probably see as we go into the third and fourth quarter, items become more vague and less specific, but I'm pretty sure that we'll be set up after the first and second quarter to do more specific work in the third and the fourth. Again, we'll continue to review the tangible list of what we can do. By the third quarter, we might be finished with the safety task force and actually have tangible items to think about. That is the goal, because the third quarter is right around January, February, and March, where we'll need to be doing our budget planning for the 23-24 school year. So hopefully we'll be set up for things to work out really well timing-wise. By the time the fourth quarter rolls around, we should be making adjustments to our 23-24 district and building level emergency response plans, as well as have other plans underway based on what has happened thus far this year. So I've provided a much more in-depth look at the district goal and our area of focus and what has been done and what I anticipate being done in the second, third, and fourth quarters. I'm going to ask that the administrators discuss their building and department level goals with you. They're going to provide a very brief overview of their goal, and they're going to talk about their goal, and you will see that some of their goals, when they talk about the strategies that their goal addresses, some of them will be much more direct, and like a curriculum initiative will hit curriculum and that will engage in a partnership, but some of them might be less direct in terms of, well, obviously we're going to be communicating about changes with our families and the community at large. So some of the strategies that are articulated are more direct and some are less so. Lastly, they're going to provide you with highlights from their quarterly benchmarks. The slides are not big enough for them to provide everything that they're doing in all 4 quarters. So I've asked them to provide you with highlights on what's going to happen during those 4 quarters. So I just wanted to make sure that you were aware that what you see on the screen is not the only things that will be happening during those quarters. Okay, now we usually go from BRS to the middle school to the high school. And somebody lost a bet, so he's going to come up on here first, and he's going to go first and deliver the most amazing model for everyone else to follow in terms of the goal. I present to you the amazing Joe Palumbo.
Or something like that. I will absolutely do my best, I promise. So at the high school this year, as we do every year, we focus on preparing students for college, career, their life, the world beyond Pleasantville High School. And we've been looking at the 4 C's, communication, creativity, critical thinking, and collaboration very carefully over the course of the last few years, particularly with the introduction of all the new technology that we have in the building. As a team at the high school, what we've decided on this year is we're going to be looking at communication as our building goal. A quick quote from Nat Turner: "Good communication is the bridge between confusion and clarity." So we want to make sure that our students have the ability in several ways to demonstrate what they know and can do to folks here in our building, and certainly as they prepare to leave Pleasantville High School, to all the people that they work with in their future lives. In terms of our benchmarks throughout the year, we've done some great learning to start the school year. We've done some research around effective 21st century communication. We've been using resources from organizations like All for Ed, Common Sense Media, ITSE, and we've explored the alignment between the standards here in the state and the communication skills that we're looking to develop in classrooms. What we've also done is begin to set departmental and teacher goals. Big thank you to my department chairs and teachers they're working with. They've done a phenomenal job of that. Our second quarter, we're going to continue our professional learning, but we will also begin to implement activities with students. We've scheduled a great visit to Central Connecticut State University with All for Ed. We'll be bringing a team there to learn about future-ready learners, which we're very excited about. And the second quarter will give students an opportunity to engage in some of these activities geared towards developing communication skills. Q3 and Q4 are going to be around implementation. We're really excited to introduce these activities and emphasize them in the classroom. I did my first observation today on Frontline, and one of the things that I observed during that time was the teacher providing students with specific opportunities in class to turn and talk, communicate something that they know or believe to a classmate. And then, as a culminating activity, there was a big, larger classroom share out, which I think was excellent. And the teacher asked prodding questions like, well, why do you think that? What are the statistics that you might use to prove that? So there were these deep questions that really reinforced the thinking the students were engaged in, and they were asked to communicate those to their peers, which I think are great. In Q4, as we do each year, we'll be looking at reflection, right? How we have done throughout the year. At that point, we'll have baseline data and we'll have summative data that we can look at to determine where we've grown. We'll be able to find our greatest leverage points for continued growth and sustainability, as we move forward to the next academic year. And we've already had some conversations about what that might look like in terms of those 4 C's. We're going even deeper with the C that we're focusing on this year, which is communication. So we're very excited. We're thrilled to begin the work, and we think this will empower our students, for a great deal of success both here and beyond. So thank you so much for your support.
Good evening. I'm always in the middle, so it doesn't matter who goes first or who goes last. Switch. Okay. So, the middle school's area of focus for the 2022-23 school year is differentiation. The goal is to provide our instructional staff with the tools and strategies to successfully differentiate their instruction to meet the needs of their diverse learners. We contracted with Lisa Westman, who's an author, a speaker, and a consultant who regularly works with school systems internationally to provide professional learning on student-driven differentiation. She's a great fit for our building, and we're very, very excited to work with her. Her references were glowing, and all of our colleagues said they really changed a lot of the PD and the work that they did in their schools. Our focus in Q1 was and is always relationship building, getting to know our students as learners and as individuals. At our first faculty meeting of the year, I outlined the quarterly benchmarks, like I'm doing for you right now, for the faculty, and asked all teachers to share some strategies that they use to get to know their students as learners and as individuals. In order to differentiate instruction, you need to have a baseline. I mentioned this in the opening of schools, but you have to have a baseline. You have to know your students as learners and as individuals. And that was a great collaborative conversation. Teachers were able to upload some of the tools that they use into a shared file where we can use them and use those resources as a collective going forward. Q2 and Q3 will be devoted to professional learning with Lisa. And some of the main focus areas for those full PD sessions are outlined here. Based on learning standards, what are the learning intentions, and how do we know that they have successfully mastered their goals? Those are going to be real focus areas for our November 8th and our March 13th Superintendent's Conference Day. And Lisa will be flying in from Chicago to work with our staff, full day PD on those days. So we're very excited about that. And like the Pleasantville High School, Q4 is about supporting our teachers with their implementation and evaluation and areas of improvement, making adjustments as needed, coaching those who may need support. And Lisa's going to be there with us the whole way to work with us, one-to-one individual support, whether it be via Zoom or working with the admin team to turnkey some of that. So we're very much looking forward to the work. And I'm excited to continue to share our progress with you and with the middle school community. Thank you.
Thank you.
So our focus this year at BRS, and every year we have the amazing task ahead of us of really setting foundation for our students. And this year when we look at setting a strong foundation, we are looking in the area of writing. Our goal is around the creation of 1 unit of writing, and particularly we've decided that that's going to be narrative. And that may seem like a small goal. It may seem that we're going to be going slow, but that speed is intentional. We are intentionally going slow so that we build this foundational understanding of looking at standards, of looking at the different components of balanced literacy. What is the workshop model? Establishing common language, establishing common rubrics. And for us, that really builds this foundation of having this deep understanding and for horizontal and vertical alignment, not only in writing, but it expands to other academic areas as well. As we look ahead at our benchmarks, we're looking really at looking at the different parts of a writing unit. We are going to be creating our narrative writing unit. We are going to be implementing that writing unit. We're going to be revising that unit. And so how do we do this? We are very fortunate. We've partnered with a consulting firm called Gravity Goldberg, LLC. Similarly to the middle school, they came highly recommended. And in our research and in talking with different groups over this summer, they just seemed like the right fit of support and giving of information, but willing to listen to our teachers, willing to listen to us as a leadership team of what are we bringing to the table, what makes Pleasantville special, and how do we infuse all of that into our writing instruction. Our teachers have several opportunities throughout the year to have direct contact with our literacy consultant. We actually began that work last week, was our first day with our 3rd and 4th grade teams. It was a wonderful day. It also gives us a chance as a leadership team to come together and work with our consultant to help us plan really meaningful superintendent's conference days throughout the year in November, as well as March, to continue this work school-wide and take it outside of our grade level teams as well. Finally, we're going to round out. We're going to use this to plan for the next school year. So like I said, our intention is to go slow. It's to start small. But from that one writing unit, we know that as we're thinking about the 23-24 school year, we'll be able to take that learning, expand it, loop back to some of our curriculum maps, make some of our revisions from there, and we really look forward to watching this grow.
Thank you.
For special education, we picked our goal very strategically, recognizing that members of our department are spread across the district in different buildings and will be heavily involved in the work taking place in the buildings. Our area of focus is just also happens to align with the indicator for which we are due this year. At different points in time, we're due, just to kind of give you context, at different points in time, we're due for different indicators where the state reviews information provided by us to ensure that our work is in accordance with the applicable laws and regulations. This year, we are due for indicator 11, which speaks to ensuring that all initial referrals to the CSE are completed and eligibility for special education services are determined within the allocated time frame. It's also a good time for us to focus on this area because we're finally done digging ourselves out of the COVID backlog. So we're focusing on this for the upcoming year. It also aligns with different areas of the strategic plan listed on the slide. And to monitor our progress towards this goal, we spent the first quarter kind of setting ourselves up for success. We reviewed staff caseloads, we reviewed our evaluation distribution lists, and we trained new staff in testing protocols and procedures. For the second quarter, we are looking to become more automated with creating an automated CSE scheduling system just to protect precious staff time, because a lot of time gets spent in scheduling of CSE meetings and sometimes rescheduling of CSE meetings, a lot of schedules to coordinate. So we're looking to create a centralized automated system for that. We are also looking to prepare our frontline collaboration portal, which is a database that enables us to electronically share CSE-related documents with families in a password-protected, legally compliant manner. So we're spending time preparing that system, and then in the third quarter, we're going to implement these automated systems, and in the fourth quarter, review the work and just retain systems that have helped us become more efficient in our work and look for opportunities for growth. Thank you.
So, for technology, the thing that's been coming up for us is really as we're moving into this new phase, and you've heard it tonight from Mr. Palumbo talking about how he's using Frontline to the different initiatives that we have with safety. There's a really big focus and emphasis on technology. And for us, what we really wanted to focus on and really have the greatest impact is on automating systems related to APPR as well as our professional learning. And that touches on a number of different areas for the strategic plan. For us, what we've been doing is really focusing on these two tools and building them out. So in terms of getting up and running, we started with our teacher training on Superintendent's Conference Day around the professional growth platform. That's something that we've recently launched. And then we're also getting up and running with the APPR system, and you just heard Mr. Palumbo talk about he was piloting it, and we have a number of our administrators piloting it this week because we're rolling right into Q2 starting next week. And this is where we kick off our launch for that and really seeing that take full shape and form over the next couple of months as we roll into the year. And what's really exciting for us is thinking about all of the different solutions that we have, and specifically this one, how it helps us streamline our processes. I think that's the one thing that keeps coming up for us is, you know, we keep adding more tools and more devices and more systems, and we're at this point where we're really thinking, how can we be smarter about this implementation? How can we really optimize that performance? And so we've got a team behind us, we're running full steam ahead. Q2, we're doing the APPR rollout, and then going into Q3, as well as Q4, it's really providing ongoing support for these platforms as we continue to support all the other technology solutions throughout the district. And then looking to the end of the year where we start to close out the year with these systems, look to roll it forward, and then really dive into our next year and the technology implementation. Thank you. And then we've got
So for the business office, by June 30th, 2023, the office staff will create a procedure manual for the major functions and implement operational redundancy for the department. It was very easy for us to come up with this goal. The reason is because in a small department, we have 3 new staff members. So it really makes sense to have this as a goal, and we think that this will make the greatest impact for the department. And this goal will touch on 3 strategies: leadership, infrastructure and resources, and partnership. So for Q1, actually ends tomorrow, we already created a structure for standardized task schedule for all functions. That was done. And then also we have begun to create the schedule. This schedule will actually take the whole year because we want to go through this whole year cycle, because when you think about the business office, every year basically you do the same thing at the same time. So that's why it's very important for us to come up with a schedule. And starting next week, we'll start creating the procedure manual, and also we will continue to work on the schedule. And basically, at the end of the 4th quarter, we want to finish the procedure manual. We need to have the entire schedule set, the annual schedule, and then we want to match up each person with the task and as a backup person. Because think about it, we only have 1 person who is doing the payroll. And if that person is out, we still have to run payroll. And it's really, every function is like that. So it's very important to have the redundancy. And it takes time to cross-train. So we want to do it very carefully. And so by the end of this calendar year, the fiscal year, we will cross-train the staff and we complete the procedure manual.
Good evening. So my focus this year is going to be on our middle school HVAC project, and my goal is to make sure that everything is in place by June of 2023 for the construction phase of that project, which will take place in July and August of 2023. A project of this scope requires about 2 years of planning and preparation, believe it or not. The identification of needs, scope, budgeting, design work were all completed last school year. Now that the project has been designed and budgeted and submitted to SED, the second phase of planning can begin, which you can see my benchmarks outlined here. So just to run through a few of them briefly. During the first quarter, we received some comments back from the State Education Department, and we worked with our architects regarding the required addendum submittal to address those comments. In the second quarter, we're going to receive our final approval for the project from SED, and at that point, I'll be working with Mr. Chow to get this project out to public bid. We will award bid, and then we have to vet the potential contractor that's low bid. During the third quarter, the contractors will be making material submittals, which I'll be involved in reviewing with our architects. And then we have to ensure during the fourth quarter that everything that's been submitted and approved is available and will fit our construction timeline. And then finally, coordinate construction scheduling, staging, material storage, and building usage for next summer. Thank you. Mr. Iorio.
So recently, Section 1 Athletics has introduced a newly implemented policy that supports the idea of creating a positive culture within interscholastic sports. And this is an area that that we're already familiar with and that we've been focused on, promoting the idea of inclusive sports, and not only developing the physical skills of our student athletes, but also the social, emotional skills as well. And this not only prepares them for competition, but similar to our high school goal, for life as well. As you know, one of our initiatives at the start of last year was to partner with an organization called the Positive Coaching Alliance. And in early September, to kick off the school year, we held a pretty awesome workshop, which involved some of our student athletes. It involved a number of our coaches, community members, and myself. And during this time, we discussed areas that we felt were strengths of the athletic department, and also areas that we felt we could improve on. And based on that feedback and information, the plan moving forward would be to map out some culture shaping action plans. And those action plans would align with the Section 1 policy that has been implemented. And not only the Section 1 policy, but it should also align with our athletic department mission and philosophy. And one of the activities that we did with our emerging leaders at the end of last year was to break down our athletic mission and philosophy and try to rebuild it, redevelop it based on the goals of our department. And that should be something that would be finalized in the near future. Plans for the department would be to continue our partnership with the Positive Coaching Alliance. We want that partnership to be ongoing. We've increased the number of workshops and the amount of collaboration that we will have with them based on areas of need. And we will also be evaluating our philosophical consistencies within our athletic programs to make sure that all of our teams, our coaches, our athletes, we are all on board and have the same mission and goal.
So one of the board's primary responsibilities, as you all know, is to oversee and set policy. So the Board of Education, in thinking about what its big goal of the year would be, wanted to ensure that our policies support the district mission and vision and are aligned to district goals, they're up to date according to the law, and are clearly written and communicated. It's good practice to review policy, about a third of the policies every year. And while we do have had a process for updating policy, several policies a year under recommendation from Erie Boses, who's our policy advisor, we haven't done a comprehensive review of our policies since 2018. And the board and Dr. Desa have noticed the need to make some updates. We've noticed some redundancies. So this is our big push to roll out a new process, or update a process for periodically reviewing policies. So to start, we identified, we kind of talked through the process, what we wanted the process to look like, and we determined that we would start with the first two sections of the policy book. We'll be looking at the 1000s and the 2000s. And these are the policies that really touch on board governance. And we will be, this is, we've identified this, and now because it's very important for policies to be in accordance with the law, we're going to work with our attorney to take a first pass at our existing policies and they'll help identify redundancies, policies we absolutely need, where we could maybe combine or shift. And then we will create a plan for going through all of those policies in that section. We will bring the revised policies. We'll make revisions, and then there will be opportunity for the public to review them before they're officially put on the books. As with any policy change, it's discussed at a meeting. So we will be reviewing those in the third quarter at a public meeting. And then we will finalize them and publish, and then the board will work with Dr. Desa to identify the next section of policies that we'll want to work on based on district need and where we want to dive in. And I'll note that this wildly important goal, which is very important because these policies really guide all the everything that we've heard about tonight, all the actions of the board, the superintendent, all the staff, students, and families rely on. It's the policies that really govern how things work here. So this goal really touches on leadership, curriculum. It cuts across all of the strategies in the strategic plan. So we look forward to digging in.
So my goal in creating the structure of annual goals for the district is to help us focus our energy on leverageable areas in our schools and departments that will result in a school experience for our students that makes Pleasantville, well, Pleasantville. They allow us to further our efficiencies and/or make lasting improvements on the district. And while the structure may have been mine, the goal areas were determined by the respective administrators along with their leadership teams. It takes teamwork and collaboration to achieve our beliefs, mission, and objectives. And I am so proud to be the leader of Pleasantville and thankful for each of you as administrators and the board as well and the community at large for taking a leap with me. It is going to be an adventure, and I am beyond excited about our potential. People keep asking me, how's the school year going? How's the school year going? And I only have amazing things to say so far about the school year because it feels like there's a renewed energy where we have been in a reactive state for such a long time that we actually have some energy to focus and put on being proactive. And I think, as you've heard from the variety of different areas that we're going to work on, that were chosen as leverageable areas to impact our district and our schools and our departments and their respective manners, it's just exciting and exhilarating. And I think that's what these people are feeling the same way I'm feeling. So thankful to be part of a team and so excited about this school year and what our potential is when we work together. Thank you.
Thanks, everybody. That was great.
Yeah, thank you so much.
A lot of exciting work ahead.
Yeah, I'd like to thank everybody, all the administrators, for the work that you put into the goals. They're so thoughtful, and you can just see all the work that you just described, which is on top of your day-to-day work. That's what the wildly important goal is going to touch every single child in this district, from the writing to the differentiated instruction to the communication, athletic. I mean, it's just amazing. You could hear in the way you were talking about it that it's really going to have an effect on every single child. So thank you.
Agreed. I feel like we should clap.
Can we clap?
Nice clap.